ready to go? Okay. Yourself organized. Be your first time all day. Well, thanks, folks. First of all, we appreciate the opportunity to do a presentation to you. Again, for those that don't know me, my name is Todd Marvel. I'm the Northeast Regional Manager for APG. APG stands for American Packing and Gasket. Clyde Warren came up from Houston today, or last night, excuse me. He is our gasket product manager. So what we're trying to do today during this lunch and learn, and I keep this open to everyone. If there's any questions throughout my presentation or Clyde's presentation, please feel free to just, type in and whatever question, if it's an application, whatever the case may be, we can answer it at that time, or we can wait until the end of the presentation, or even after we're done today, we can hook up privately or and discuss whatever your needs are. Who knows of APG and who doesn't, or who knows? Okay, so everyone knows what we are, who we are. We've been around since 1943. I will basically just go through the product lines that we carry. I'm going to do like a 10,000-foot view of APG. Speaking with John a little bit earlier, I was talking about our industrial glass division. A lot of people don't know that we have an industrial glass division. Okay. This gives you an idea of what we are, who we are. Going from Clyde's group of gaskets and sheet material, we have a braided packing line, machine plastics, and I'll send these around for you guys to take a look at. The industrial glass division, industrial hose couplings and fittings, we are Evertight. I wasn't sure if you folks knew that, but we are Evertight. O-rings and O-ring cord and hydraulic seals. Now again, we're going to look at primarily in this presentation focusing on gaskets. But again, I want to make sure that everybody's aware of what we do with all of the other lines, and also with the literature in front of you. What I plan on doing afterwards is getting a head count and sending out binders to each location, inside sales, outside sales. That has everything in it that we do. So you'll have that information at each one of your locations. As far as the services that we do, again, customization. On O-rings, we do O-ring packs, we do bagging, we do kits. Fabrication, vulcanization. I like to show this O-ring. This is a silicone O-ring that's been vulcanized. So if you have a customer that in the catalog, there is nothing to be found out of this catalog, and there's metric sizes in here as well. We have 3,500 stock metric O-rings in stock right now, along with the fractional. Something that's not in here needs to be vulcanized. This is what we can do. I'll let you guys pass that around. The workmanship behind that, you can pull on that where it's vulcanized and you're not going to make any separation on it. It's just, it doesn't deter the integrity of the silicone O-ring or any O-ring that we do the vulcanization on. Quality work as far as that particular part of our division is concerned. We're very proud of that, actually. Going through the rest of the services, anodizing, again, 24/7 call-out services, joint calls. I'll stop on the joint calls just for a second. One thing that we do not do, we do not call on end users. You folks take us to the end users. So that's my word to you folks. That's our word as APG to you folks. We cannot walk into an Utz potato chip as an example. We have to be brought in there, and John was kind enough to do that today to look at an application. So that's one thing that we don't do. I'm going to touch base on this because it's part of my other presentation, but Clyde will really get into this more into detail, but this is going to be, here's what we do, kind of a slide-by-slide presentation. Gaskets and sheet material. Again, we do a lot on the kits. I have a lot of this information, but you can pass that around for the time being. We do 6x6 sheets, 12x12 sheets. Great for retail counters to set up a display. You get maintenance folks that come in, instead of buying a whole roll or something a little bit too large that they want to make an expenditure like that and have scrap laying all over the place. It's a great idea, and it goes over very, very well. Gives you an idea of all the different elastomers that we carry, non-asbestos. Again, getting involved in some of the full face and ring type of gaskets. We do the electrical connection, conduit, that type of gasketing as well. You can see the pictures there of some of the designs and some of the outlays that we actually do. But this is something that Clyde will get involved in a little bit more into detail. Same thing here with Clyde. This is really right in his area. He's got this part of his presentation. He'll touch base on the CAD CAM and the scanner, how we go about that, what's the processes behind it. I'll let him discuss that in more detail. The next slide, same thing. We were talking about flash cutting today, John, at the customer, at potato chips and water jet. We have those capabilities out of Houston, Texas. And to stop on that for just a second, Houston, Texas is our corporate office. Okay? We have a location in Knoxville, Tennessee. That's our coupling division, before I go any further. Grafton, Ohio is our O-ring and seal division. So we have 3 different divisions that we can service you folks out of. Sometimes it makes more sense to have it shipped here from Grafton, Ohio for O-rings as an example. Or we can ship from Houston, Texas. It doesn't really matter, but sometimes that comes into play. This gives you an idea of the coupling line. You can go through that and see a lot of information. Evertight, you see Evertight, you see Tough Tight, you see U-Tight. Tough Tight is our import line. Evertight is our domestic line. U-Tight is our economy line. We go to market against the Dixons of the world. We can target them on the Dixon global fittings. We can go head to head with them and be very, very competitive. And I know Dixon is kind of the powerhouse these days with just about everybody. But Evertight has been, I've been selling Evertight since 1993. From a quality standpoint, it's, in my opinion, the best cam and groove coupling out there. But we go up against the Dixons of the world, and this kind of gives you an idea. You'll see a lot of things in there that we can bring to the table for you folks, for your customers. This is the Tough Tight that I was just mentioning. We have a ductile iron that I just wanted to point out briefly. The size ranges that we go, 4 and 6 inch on the part C's, which is the hose shank. Gives you a little bit of probably a little bit too much information there, but it's something that I like to throw out there anyway, just to give a conversation started. How you go to market, I mean, it is a very, very quality product that goes after those heavy duty, just abrasive type of applications. O-ring, as far as the O-rings are concerned, we have probably, not probably, it is the largest inventory. Would you, no, don't say probably, come on, don't agree with me. When you go through our Houston office and you go into the warehouse, it's just an endless sea of every O-ring you can possibly imagine. We are the largest in North America that I know of. I don't think there's anybody bigger than we are. What we do is what you see there as far as pictures, we can sell individually, we can do them as kits. You've probably seen that red kit to the left there in a lot of places that you've gone to for the outside folks, or selling it on the inside. We can make these kits any way your customer wants them. So you can do a standard kit like that with the fractional sizes. If you have a customer that says, I only use 20% of that's what's in that kit. The rest of it might be metric, it might be silicone, it might be Viton. These are all Buna ends. We can custom make them for you folks to sell to your customer. That way they don't have to have excess inventory that they'll never use. So it's a good selling point to make for your customer. Hydraulic fittings, just as it says there, we do the O-ring boss, O-ring face, and a split flange. We can make those up to whatever sizes you may need. And it gives a nice little pictorial there in the bottom with the different, we've got Vitons, Bunas. You can't really tell from looking at the pictures. But say your Bunas are here, your brown Vitons, your black Vitons. There's a way to make that determination sometimes. When you have a guy at the counter and he throws you 2 O-rings on the counter and they're both black and he says one's Viton, one's Buna N. How do you know which is which without destroying it and burning it? Well, there's a tool that you can get that can tell you what it is. And it's really simple. It's this little guy right here. What it is that if you have a Buna-N 70 durometer and a Viton, you lay them on a table, they're both black, you have no idea how to tell the difference. You take this little thing, you lay the O-ring down on the table, put this on top of the O-ring, and if it bounces, it's Buna-N. If it thuds, it's Viton. Who designed this?
Dictatic, I think. It's got different levels, it's got different markings. For Atlas, Nitro, EPR, Viton. It measures the density of the O-ring.
I'm going to pass this around as well. There's the tool at the bottom. When you see this O-ring catalog come around, you'll see at the back portion of this catalog some of the ways of identifying O-rings, whether it's a slide scale, whether it's a chart, whatever the case may be. It gives you some ideas there, specifically helpful, not just for the guys at the counter, but the guys in the field. It just makes your life so much easier, and it helps facilitate the process in getting a right identification, not from just the size, but also the elastomer. Some of these slides I'm going to cruise right through because we only have an hour, and this gentleman's going on stage next to get more in depth. But just to go through the O-rings, you know, it kind of tells you what is an O-ring, how does it work. You know, you're sealing on the O-ring, you're not really sealing on the mating surfaces, you're sealing on the O-ring. What does an O-ring do? Again, it compresses under a load, kind of, you know, it is what it is right there, the ability to just make that seal with those mating surfaces. This one, again, going into the sizing aspect of it, Buna-N is the most popular that you see. You see Buna-N more than you do anything else. Viton's number 2. If you go through the sizing aspect of it, again, there's tools that you can have. There's a cone, there's a sliding scale to get the proper identification. ID, OD, cross-section. If you have 2 to 3, you can identify an O-ring. You don't need all 3. So if you have the ID and the cross-section, you know what your O-ring is. If you have an ID, OD, you know what your O-ring is. Durometer, if you can go back just for a second. Everyone knows what durometer is. It's, I mean, obviously it's up there saying hardness, but does everybody know what that really entails?
Nope.
Okay. For the most part, that red O-ring kit that you saw up there, those O-rings in a Buna-N kit are 70, 75 durometer, almost universally in any standard kit that you're going to find. The higher the number, obviously, the harder the surface. A 95 durometer is like a bowling ball, just to kind of give you something to, you know, to think about. The softer the material, it would be a 40, 30, if you got a pure gum type of product, you know, where you can, you've got some memory to it, where you can squish it, that's the lower number. So that's got a very low durometer. So it just kind of gives you an idea. More often than not, on Buna-N O-rings, it's 70, 75, 80, somewhere in that ballpark. And that's really what you'll find more popular than anything else. Again, just what I talked about earlier, ID, OD, and cross-section, you only need 2 to 3 to make the right determination. You can probably just cruise past this one. This, when you're looking at the O-ring kits as the example that I just had up there, that red kit, you'll see up there, it'll say dash 001, 002, 004, 00, what, you keep going on. It just tells you what the cross-section is of those particular O-rings within that range. So it's a handy little tool. Just gives you an idea what the cross-section is of those O-rings more than anything else. Yeah, you can probably cruise through that one. This is actually a good slide because 1/8, everybody knows 1/8 is 125. You don't want that to be 125. You want the O-ring cross-section to be larger because you're filling that gap, if you remember. You're actually crushing that and filling that gap to get that proper seal. So it's always going to be a little bit larger. So if you put a set of mics on it and you say, well, it's not 125, it's 139. That's it. That's the one. And it gives you the tolerance of each one. Let me probably cruise right past this one. Material, I'm just going to touch briefly on each one of these, just real briefly, and then I'm going to turn it over to Clyde. Buna, 60% of all O-rings are Buna N. For by far the most popular O-ring that you're going to come across. Viton, right behind Buna N. I mean, as far as popularity, that's what you'll see the second most consistent product out there. It's a nice little chart or piece of information there as far as what its resistance to, from the high temp and the synthetic hydraulic fluids and so forth. It's a very popular O-ring that you see a lot of. Again, it just drills down a little bit more. Silicone would be the next in line. You know, there's the capabilities there as far as temperature range, 450 to -75. Again, this is just kind of going through the various elastomers that we have, that we go through all the time. And again, that just kind of drills down into all the specifics on each one of these. EPDM, again, is another polymer, another elastomer. It gives you some of the characteristics of that. Neoprene rubber. Again, I don't want to go too far into this because I'll be taken away from the gasket portion, but you can see what it's resistant to and what the properties are, probably on the next slide. There you go. Chemical resistance, heat capability. And Teflon. DuPont, you can't say DuPont anymore. I didn't say it.
By the way, our Viton is DuPont.
You're not supposed to say that. Didn't we talk about this?
No.
Just give me this. Just like anything else, whenever you're trying to size something, you know, there's the old acronym STAMP. Size, temperature, application, media, pressure, ends, delivery. Same thing here. You know, what do you want to know when you're looking at an O-ring? Well, you want to know the temperature. You want to know what the environment is that it's going in. What are you sealing? What's the media? And what's the pressure? I mean, once you have that, you can pretty much come to a determination as to what you need. Again, compatibility. What's the media that it's going to be exposed to? What's the temperature? And there's the pressure that we just referenced a little while ago. Okay? Any questions? Did I confuse everybody? Did I? Before he goes on, I'm going to pass these around too, and I've got a fair amount of these now. I just double checked everything, but other than the O-rings and the gaskets and the coupling, those are the three driving forces, if you will, of APG. We have a machine plastics division. And we also have an industrial glass division. Usually, when you find something like that out, it's one of your existing customers. This is what I find. It's one of your existing customers and you're selling them O-rings or you're selling them Evertight couplings. you're selling them gaskets, whatever the case may be, and they say, hey, I got a sight glass here. You know that can do this? Yeah, we can. We can do sight glasses, we can do red stripe, we can do, there's a lot of things that we can do from our glass division. Custom make a lot of things. So that's another piece of what we bring to the puzzle. And then on the plastic side, you know, we can produce parts, you know, like these, and just, let me pass these around too. So these are two other divisions under the APG umbrella that we can do that doesn't get the same exposure as, say, these other three lines do, but they are part of what we are. It's part of what we do every day. What I'll do is, I'm going to pass around while Clyde's doing his presentation, some of the flyers for the plastics. I don't know if I've got enough on the glass, but if I don't, again, I'm making up the binders for each location, and everything will be encompassed inside those binders. Whatever we do will be inside those binders for it. Okay? Before I turn it over to Clyde, any questions or comments, or? Okay, Clyde, you're the man.
How we get rid of this?
Thank you.
Okay, I'm Clyde, I'm from Houston. Glad to be up here. As Todd was saying, we have four locations. We have another one in California. It's mainly a distribution house just for couplings. We have Texas, Maple Place, Tennessee, Couplings in Ohio. Is where the hydraulic seals and stuff like that. If need be, we have something in Texas we need to stock in Ohio. We'll be more than happy to do that for y'all. And that's some of the places that we service: agriculture, automotive, chemicals, food and beverage on down, pharmaceutical, and just kind of whatever you can dream of. Oil field, we're real big in the oil field. We didn't think it would hurt us, but it's cut us down about 30%, but you know, we're pretty broad spectrum of things to do, but I don't know how oil and gas affects up here, but down in Texas it's pretty bad. But that's the reason that one's there. And the gaskets, any kind of size, we make our own dies. We have our full row program, which was, Todd had a flyer of it out here. It's on this flower here. Keep changing.
Yeah, they do.
We have full rows, non-asbestos, all types of elastomers, specialty fabrication. We're a distributor for Thermosil, which is, you might have heard of Klinger, Thermosil. Getting a lot of requests for Garlock. We started stocking Garlock, Amorium cork, and rubber products. You'll find that spec'd into a lot of plants. Your Garlocks are spec'd in, and your Klingers, they're working on getting theirs all spec'd in. We have the IntelliScanner. And what this does, you lay the gasket down on the table like this. It takes a picture of it, and then it's transferred over to your CAD system. So instead of sitting having to draw out all the angles and everything, they just simplified everything. So now we just take a picture of it and send it over. It speeds the process up by 2 or 3 days on something technical, stuff like that. They can send it to either the water jet, flash cut. We have 2 flash cuts, 1 water jet. And we have 1 automatic, which it stamps out gaskets by the thousands. They do a couple hundred a minute. Again, there's a flash cut, the water jet, it runs up to about 10,000 PSI. So you don't want to get your fingers around it when you're there. The flash cut, it runs off a laser right here. And of course, this is flash cut when it's in action. And on the flash cut, we have a projector, which is relatively new. It projects a graph down onto the cutting surface. And if we have just a piece of torn material, we can lay it down where it's projected and it'll go to that spot and cut. So it's a good money-saving tool. Of course, the more we save, the more we can pass it on. Like I said, we're Garlock, Interface Solution, Memoriam. Those are our three main people we distribute for. Our non-asbestos sheets, I didn't bring no flowers. I can get Todd to put y'all some in, but it'll go down with a list of all the sheets we have, and it'll give you a list, of what they're good for, what they're not, stuff like that. Same thing on the Buna, elastomers, like Buna. If you look in the catalogs, even your O-ring catalog, it's got a chemical resistance chart. And you need to look through there, find out, if anything's compatible. And if you don't find it, you can always call us. We have a big chemical guy there, or cheat like I do and get online now. Full row program. We basically got it in the most common elastomers: red rubber, EPR, neoprene, and Buna. One row, you get a pretty good discount if somebody's wants to buy a row. But if you want to buy 2 rows, you'll get very good addition. It's almost like getting 2 rows for one. So, if you know anybody that stocks rubber or needs a row, don't buy 1, buy 2, and you'll come out way good in a long time. And Buna's, it's good for 5 years on the floor anyway. So. Spile mounts over here. They got a carbon steel outer ring. They'll have windings inside of 304, 3/16. And we stock ours with a graphol filler. A lot of people ask for non-asbestos fillers, but we buy graphol for the same price, and it gets a lot higher temperature, more applications. The packing, everything, valve, especially like the worst. I'm sure they got all kinds of packing uses that we didn't see. We have all types of packing. We have graphol, Teflon. We have a GFO packing. It's actually stamped GFO. Not many people stock it and have it stamped that way. All of our packing is American made. Flange protectors, just protect the end of the flanges for pipe during shipment, stuff like this. Electrical gaskets for conduit, stuff like that. All of your electrical houses, they'll stock gaskets. This is one that we recently done. That's how big it is. It was vulcanized, and it went underneath the big chemical tank down in Louisiana. But if you can imagine it, we can make it. Vulcanize it. That was like a 10-piece sectional, vulcanized together. But like I say, the sky's the limit on that.
And that's in Houston.
Yeah, that's in Houston.
That's our shop in Houston.
Yeah, that's at our shipping department.
I don't know how they cleared all that room out. Somebody orchestrated that.
Yeah. There's full row program. And all our rubber there is gonna be 60 durometer. That's your most common. It's gonna be 60 durometer. Very seldom you get anybody that wants 80, 90 durometer, stuff like that. If they have to, I can get it. I just gotta go out and source it. And I've been in the business 25 years, so I got pretty limited sources on it. It gets us the size, the thickness of each one. Of course, the neoprene being the most popular, it goes all the way from 1/16 all the way down to 1 inch, all the way up to 1 inch. And bunos there will go up to 1/2 inch. So neoprene buno is your most, I'd say 75% of it. The gasket packs, these little things y'all have right here, is what's in the gasket pack. There's 5 different materials, 1/16 and 1/8 of each material. And these are handy for service trucks, store displays, whatever. People don't want to carry out a 60 by 60 sheet, so they just get a gasket pack, throw it on the truck. And this here is really a display. It's for, it's a rack. It's got 10 shelves in it. It's a 26 by 20 sheets, which contains all this that's in the gasket pack. It's so new, haven't got any more in stock. But I've got some on order, but that's good for a storefront, or sit out, people just walk up and grab it and go. Again, your gasket packs are 6 by 6 and a 12 by 12. And those are the most popular materials that anybody's going to want. They can fix just about anything with that right there.
And you can sell these to your customers, for example, and correct me if I'm wrong, the 12 by 12s, you can sell that pack for say $55, something like that, and make a nice profit on it. And again, I say $55. That's, you know, that's whatever you folks want to sell it for. Their cost on that, the 12 by 12 would be about $25 for that. So my experience with my clients, my customers, my distributors is that 55 is not out of the realm. They do it all day, every day, and it goes well.
You got to remember, they got a machine down, and they're going to fix it.
Yeah.
So. This here retails, my cost about $466. So, but you can buy replaceable sheets for it. Machine plastics. That's another one of my divisions. We started this division about 7 years ago. And it's been growing ever since. This is some of the things that they have done. Frac balls. Little frac ball gaskets up here. We just did an order for these here for a company that goes in water strainers. All it is nylon and some acetylene. It's $30,000. Get to look at stuff like that. And they used to make it out of stainless steel, and we converted them over into plastics. Big saving money opportunity for them. It gives you a list down here of some of the stuff that's most popular in the machine plastics division when they go to machining. We have 2 lathes, a seal, and a mill. And the seal machine, what it does is it takes, I don't know if you didn't have any hydraulic seals there, did you?
No, I didn't.
It takes like a U-cup or a loaded lip seal, and it just sits there and turns them out 5, 10 a minute. Just sit there non-stop. It'll run through the material faster than you can load it. That's pretty neat to sit there and watch it run. There's a little bit more of it. Those are the machines there, 2 lathes and the seal. Stop it. Todd didn't touch on that one.
I can touch on it right now if you wish.
You know a lot about it. Stop it. Y'all never heard of this? It's wonderful. You can repair your pipe while it's under pressure. If, just say, one of your customers has a leak, they can take it, depending on what size they need. You need to know how big the hole is, how big the pipe is. It's a fiberglass resin type material. It comes with 2 compounds. You rub them together, and you fill that hole, and you take that, and you dip it in water, and you start wrapping it. Keeping your hands wet, just keep wrapping it around there and getting, when you pull it tight, it excretes in a resin, and you just smooth it out as you go. And it'll, what's curing time on that? 5 minutes?
Fully cures in 30.
Fully cure 30?
What?
I'm saying, they have to rough the surface up, and this is the epoxy that you put in it. And then put it in the hole and they wrap it.
Again, not to interrupt, but my experience on this, it's great at counters. You can go out and sell it, and you can sell a lot of it. But from what I see, if you got a counter trade, putting it on a counter, POP, maintenance person comes walking in, he's got a line that needs to be repaired, they can't take it down, they can't do disassembly, it's a quick fix, and it's a long-term fix.
It's a long time. It'll last longer.
It'll last a long, long time, so that gets them up and running. Even if there's media still going through the line, if you can put your thumb over it and seal it with your thumb, then you can use this. If it's coming through at a, very high, PSI or volume, then, then you have to do something else because you want to make sure that it's not just flying out of that crack or hole.
Yeah. It comes in a little package like this with your gloves. There's the wrap, and there's the epoxy stuff that you need together, just like.
I'm going to pass this around, but this will be, and I apologize, I just wrote the top. That'll be part of the binders that I'll make up for you. All of that information will be inside, but as you see here, the container itself for stocking, it's just a small little container. You can put them, bring them with you on your calls or put them on the counter wherever you are. Again, my experience is that counter trade, it just works. They sell. They really do.
And it's certified NFS 61 too, so. Industrial glass. We have our own grinding machines. We start out with a piece of glass, 6x6 square or whatever, and they round the corners, put them in the machines, and they grind them down to the size we want. We can drill holes on them, make rectangles. They use them for sight glasses, stuff like this. We have the red line glass, a high pressure glass, and a plain glass. You'll usually see these on water tanks, fuel tanks, or something like that, where they want to see the level of how much fluid's in it. Over here we have what they call the Macbeth glass. You'll see a lot of these go to chemical companies and places like that. And they have 2 valves. And again, it just projects the liquid level for them. But just something else you can keep your eyes out for. And the glass, we carry the standard borosilicate. We sell a lot of fused quartz glass when they get into the higher temperatures. This here will go out about 450. If somebody tells you it goes up to 900, they won't do it. You have to go into a fused quartz or something like that. That's it. Any questions?
What did you say they stock in Ohio?
Hydraulic seals and
And
O-rings,
O-rings.
oil seals, hydraulic seals, and O-rings.
And you're still our basic contact there?
No, ma'am, I'm from Houston.
No, I meant, when we send emails and stuff, aren't you the one that's getting them?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, are you
I do a lot of
talking
y'all's
about
stuff.
O-rings, or are you talking
No,
about?
just anything in general.
Okay,
I do a lot of their orders.
okay.
I'm Lace, by the way.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
too. Where's my quote that I sent you Friday morning?
I love you.
I was actually out of the office, didn't you get my message?
Nope.
I was waiting for somebody to do that.
Actually, I gotta get caught up on emails. I flew in yesterday, so
Well, that was Friday morning.
I was out of the office. I took off half a day. I figured since I was working on Sunday, I could take off a half a day, do my dues. Any other questions?
What makes the difference, like with that flash cut versus a water jet?
Flash cut,
Like,
it's good. Up to about, you don't wanna go over 3/8 of an inch thick with it. That's about it. They make a flash cut that'll go higher, but they don't do it pretty good. When you get to your higher, that's when we go to the water jet. The water jet, we got up to 2-inch thick material there. But it, it only cuts at about 1 inch a minute. Whatever. So it's very slow cutting. Water jets, it's slower cutting. You go through thicker material. But like the PSS 300, when you flash cut it, it's real pretty gasket. Water jet, it's just something about getting that material damp that it's just don't like it too much. So we had to get rid of a bunch of it when last hurricane come through. Our roof peeled back.
Anything else? I want to touch on one more thing. We were talking about the plastics, the industrial plastics. We also do this as well, so face shields. It's it's out of Houston, where Clyde is from. Boy, these guys they're busy.
Yeah,
To watch the process of the face shields and everything that they're producing down there in high volume runs is astounding. It's another, I passed around these pieces to say, hey, we're industrial plastics, but this is just another component of what we do, and no one really thinks of us, that doesn't know APG for this. So again, this will be in the binders, but I'll pass this around if you want to just take a quick look at it.
so
Just
that's
to give you an
replacement
overview.
lids for what your bullards.
Mhm.
Don't let a bullet distributor see. Don't let your customer buys that in their bullet distributor, they can't put it on their shelf. Because they'll bullet to pull their distributor ship. Just let y'all know that. But those are replacement visor lids. Some of them are ANSI stamped. So. Come with a ANSI with a little number up there.
Any other questions or comments? Everybody get their full piece of it? Well, thank you, folks. I appreciate this very much. We'll look forward to seeing the second group come through, but if you have any questions, by all means, reach out to either myself, Clyde. If you've got O-ring questions, what I can do is get you all of our product manager contact information. Dave Scully is our O-ring person. Scott Welsh is our coupling person. We've got Bob Heinen, who works out of Ohio. He's kind of a backup for Dave Scully. You know, I can provide all of this information to you. When I'm out running around from Maine to West Virginia, sometimes I'm hard to get a hold of, and I apologize for that. But there's always somebody around that can answer a question. I don't know about the quotes from Friday. I can't answer that part, okay? That's out of my hands.
I have to look at that.
You better.
Thank you, folks. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Do you want us to take any of this or no, let this here?
After
We
we,
take the cards.
after we do the next session, I'm going to leave everything behind,
Okay.
and then the binders will be coming out after that.